It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Okay, so housing is obviously a big decision, right? Well, the second largest decision that a lot of us make, and I think everyone has to make this at some point most likely, is vehicles, because inflation also impacts the things that we use every day, the things that get us from point A to point B, that take us from our house to our work and allow us to carry out our life. They have been infected substantially by this inflationary environment that we've been in, amongst other outside variables.
This chart that we had Daniel build for us is truly amazing because it shows, look, a used car. I mean, if you look in 2015, we had some unique things going on. I believe that was the pigs going on back then with some of the debt crisis over in Europe. So you saw a spike in used car prices where we got around $23,000. But then steadily it's been falling to where in 2020 when the pandemic started, you can see we were just above $20,000. We actually had a pretty, right above $20,000 or around $21,000, somewhere in that range. But then we've been a straight up hockey stick to where when we did this show, I mean, this was last year sometime.
June 30th of last year.
June 30th last year. The number was around 26,000. And you're like, whoa, trees don't grow to heaven. Used cars, be careful. These things typically depreciate like a rock. This has got to be a unique time. Imagine our shock that the fact that now, here we are in 2022, it's over $30,000 on this index. That's crazy, guys. And this is what is... You need to be so careful. I think that this is something that is a danger. Real estate, look, I do think there's an element of scarcity with real estate. You always hear, unless you live in an area where there's a volcano in the backyard, you're just not getting a lot more land. But eventually with vehicles, because right now, prices are going crazy because of several things. And it is tied into scarcity once again, and the fact that it's harder to get new cars because there's microchip issues, there's supply chain with other parts. It is just the turnaround time on the new cars has been slower. So the direct beneficiaries has been used car prices. And then you got inflation that's pushing on that just in general on the value of a dollar. You can see how this could get just create essentially like dry tinder catching on fire and flaming up. And now you've got to figure out, what do I do? How do I navigate this?
Well, I think that's the question a lot of people are asking. Okay, I have to make some sort of vehicle decision. How do I do it right? How do I approach this well? How do I think through this in a prudent manner? And so we thought there's kind of like this if-then sort of process that you can go through. If your current car is reliable and it's working and it's paid off, you might not decide that you want to change right now. I mean, again, if you're thinking about like buying low and selling high, and we know that right now automobiles, both on the new end as well as the used end, are much more expensive. Maybe now is not the best time to buy. I mean, Brian, me and you talk about this all the time. I have a paid off car that's fine. It's not super snazzy. It's not super fancy. I'd love to go buy like an awesome truck for no reason. Then it just looks like it's a cool truck. But I'm probably not going to right now because I don't have to, and prices don't give me a really good, compelling reason to go do that. So I think if you're someone who can postpone making that purchasing decision, you should really think long and hard about doing that.
Well, I always like to play the other side of the coin. If I buy right now, how could this go bad? Where's the true dangers? Remember, human nature, when we see scarcity or we see an opportunity to go, if I go make some of this, I can maybe make some money off of it. So all these microchips and all this stuff will catch up. The supply chain issues will catch up. So all of a sudden you're going to have a huge, because you see these pictures, and we could have had Daniel put it where there's like racetracks, parking lots, and other things just full of new cars waiting for microchips. When those vehicles start hitting the market,
there's going to be some opportunity.
There's going to be, and guess what? All those people who were waiting on that new F-150 or whatever car or truck that you're thinking about, maybe they bought a used car. They're going to dump that on the market because they're trying to catch up on these new cars. You're going to see a glut of vehicles, and we'll get back to more historical norms. And then I'm worried, I truly am worried about people who are running up and using huge amortization length, meaning they're going 6 years, 7 years, 8 years on vehicles. You might get left holding the bag on vehicles, so I'd be very careful because, no matter how long you own the car, more than likely, now I know there's a troll out there who's going to bring up a 67 Camaro or a Mustang or something, but typically cars don't appreciate.
Right.
When you get left holding the bag, you just get left holding the bag. Well, at least with housing, if you make a mistake, if you live in it long enough, more than likely there's a recovery period there because the market does have appreciation built into it. Be very, very careful with vehicles. Now, Bo, there is one thing, and you took advantage of this.
Sure.
I mentioned earlier, sometimes having time or flexibility might turn out to be an opportunity. Once again, scarcity is the driving factor of a lot of this inflation, is that people need cars yesterday.
That's
so
right.
it's not uncommon. I have a neighbor, beautiful car, but the reason they ended up with this car is they wanted a new car. They rode by, and the dealership had one of the tractor trailers there was unloading. They're like, cars are hard to get right now. I see the tractor trailer. I'm going to pull over. I'm going to just say, hey, I'll take that one. I want that one right there because I need a car. That scarcity, that desire to buy no matter what the price is creating this. What can you do to take out that, hey, I've got to have it right now?
Yeah, I think one of the big things you can do is recognize, are there some type of distortions in the market? Or is there some sort of arbitrage that you specifically might be able to take advantage of? Now, this is a hot take. Conventional wisdom says I should always buy a used car, always let someone else pay the depreciation, always buy a 2 to 3 year old used car. Well, there's a chance that right now, actually buying a new car might be a better deal, a better value, a better opportunity than buying a used car. So you have to be willing to stray away from the conventional wisdom. Another thing that I think is really, really interesting is when we went to buy, not our last car, but the one previous, prices for that specific vehicle were insane in this area where we live. So what we did is we started looking at some dealerships kind of off the beaten path, a state away, and kind of some very remote towns,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you can give because I just love saying Boaz, Alabama.
In Boaz, Alabama. So I called the dealership and said, hey, I'm looking for this specific car. Do you have? He's like, I've got some coming on the truck. And they were offering it for like $7,000-8,000 less than what that same car was selling for here. So we were able to capitalize on that. Well, then we had to end up replacing another car. And they said, hey, we have some, but they're not perfect in this. If you want one, you can go and commit, but it's going to be like 4 months before you get it. And we said, okay, that's fine. We have cars that are running. We don't have to have it right now. We made that car decision before we had to make the car decision. So because we were flexible in our timing, we may not have gotten a great deal, but we did not overpay, and we were able to get the car that we wanted for a reasonable price, maybe not a great price, because I don't know that there are great prices to be had right now, but we were able to actually get it as opposed to having to make some like knee-jerk reaction decision to try to get a car right now today.
Yeah, because that's what I recalled you look, and I like picking on you because y'all have a minivan now.
Yep, that was
but,
it.
When you buy a minivan, you ordered a minivan, so that way you're not waiting to ride by the dealership and just hope and pray that there's a tractor trailer that's delivering so 6 people can be bidding on that one vehicle. You calmly went to the dealership and said, hey, I need this type of vehicle. Can we order? Can we come to an agreement on price? I'll wait. And
it worked out just fine.
And look, and if your local dealership, because we know in Nashville, there's people that have so much money, they're just dumb. I mean, I don't know how else to say it because we live in that type of market. I had this pre-inflation. I had the same problem with my wife's car, so I had to go to Huntsville, Alabama. I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah, Alabama might be the place
but it
to
is
buy
one
a
of those
car.
things. You can reach out to other dealerships. Maybe your local white-hot market would say, I'm not going to take that space for that car that I might have a feeding frenzy on. But I bet if you look a few towns over that maybe is not in a metropolitan city or something like that, there might be a few more opportunities because they're going to look at you as one more car that they can close out with the manufacturer for bonuses and other things. So take advantage of that flexibility.